The day I got fired over 3 inches of fabric was the same day I watched a $4 billion deal collapse right in front of me. I did not yell, I did not argue, and I did not beg. I simply picked up my things, walked out with my dignity, and let the consequences unfold exactly as they were meant to. My name is Evelyn Carter, and for 3 years, I gave everything I had to save a company that was already halfway to its grave. I worked nights, weekends, holidays, sacrificing relationships, sleep, and any sense of balance just to pull them back from the edge. By the time the merger deal with Orion Capital was ready to be signed, I was not just leading the negotiation, I was the reason it existed in the first place. That morning was supposed to be the biggest moment of my career, the kind of day that validates every sacrifice you have ever made. Instead, it became something else entirely. It started with a policy, a ridiculous, outdated dress code policy enforced by someone who had no understanding of what actually mattered. Madison Blake, the CEO's daughter, had recently been placed into a management role she had not earned. She walked into my office that morning with a handbook in her hand and authority in her voice, pointing out that my skirt was 3 inches shorter than what the policy allowed. 3 inches. I remember staring at her, waiting for the punchline that never came. She was serious, completely serious. When I tried to explain that we were hours away from finalizing a multi-billion-dollar merger, she did not care. She said rules were rules, and if leadership did not enforce them, then what was the point? I looked around the room, expecting someone, anyone, to step in, but no one did. Not the executives, not the board members, not even her father. They sat there in silence, avoiding my eyes as if pretending this was normal. That was the moment something inside me shifted. I did not argue. I did not defend myself. I simply accepted the termination, packed my belongings, and walked out. As the elevator doors closed, I caught one last glimpse of the conference room where I had spent countless hours building that deal. It felt surreal, like watching my own life from a distance. By the time the elevator reached the lobby, my phone was already ringing. It was Daniel Hayes, the lead investor from Orion. He sounded energized, ready to make history. He asked where I was, saying everyone was waiting for me downstairs. I took a breath and told him the truth. I told him I was no longer with the company. There was silence on the line before confusion turned into disbelief. He thought I was joking, maybe using some kind of negotiation tactic, but I assured him it was real. When the elevator doors opened, I saw him standing there with his entire team, phone pressed to his ear, completely unaware of what had just happened. Madison was there too, watching everything unfold. I walked toward Daniel, holding a small box with the remains of my office. He ended the call and pulled me into a quick hug, still smiling, still expecting everything to go according to plan. I told him she fired me just like that. The smile disappeared from his face as he turned toward Madison. What followed was not an argument. It was something much colder. He asked her if she really had terminated the lead negotiator of a $4 billion deal over a dress code violation. She tried to justify it, holding onto that handbook like it was a shield. But it did not matter anymore. Daniel turned back to his team, speaking quietly, but I could hear enough to understand what was happening. Words like respect, leadership, and trust were repeated more than once. Then he made the decision. He walked back to us and calmly explained that their agreement had a clause, a key person clause. If I was no longer part of the company, they had every right to walk away without penalty, and that clause existed because of me. I had insisted on it during negotiations, just in case something unexpected happened. I never imagined it would be used like this. Within minutes, 3 years of work collapsed. Daniel shook my hand before leaving, telling me to call him when I figured out my next move. Then he walked out with his entire team, leaving behind a room full of stunned executives who were just beginning to realize what they had done. I left too. Outside, the air felt different, lighter in a strange way. I had no job, no plan, and no idea what would come next. But I also felt something I had not felt in years. Relief. Over the next week, I ignored everything, calls, messages, emails, all of it. I slept, I cooked, I reconnected with people I had neglected. For the first time in years, I existed outside of work. But the company did not stop collapsing just because I stepped away. Their stock dropped sharply, clients began pulling out, and the media started circling. 2 weeks later, my phone rang again. This time, it was Richard Blake, the CEO. He sounded different, tired, defeated, almost desperate. He told me the situation was worse than expected and asked me to meet with the board. They wanted my help. The same people who sat in silence while I was humiliated were now asking me to save them. I did not say yes immediately, but I did not say no either. That night, I thought about everything, about what I had lost, what I had given, and what I was actually worth. By morning, I had my answer. When I walked into that boardroom later that day, I wore the exact same outfit I had been fired in. This time, no one said a word about it. I did not waste time on pleasantries. I laid out the reality of their situation, the damage already done, and how difficult it would be to recover. Then I placed a contract in front of them. My terms were clear: triple my previous salary, a seat on the board, full control over strategy, a significant equity stake. And one more thing that caught their attention immediately: any new ventures I created while working there would remain primarily mine. They hesitated, of course, but hesitation does not last long when survival is on the line. One by one they signed. I was back, but I was not the same person who had walked out. Over the next several months, I worked to stabilize the company. It was not easy, and it was not clean. Some departments had to be cut, some people lost their jobs, and the merger had to be rebuilt under worse terms. But slowly, things started to recover. At the same time, I began working on something else, something personal. It started as an idea, almost a joke at first. A solution to a problem that should not have existed in the first place. I gathered a small team and started developing professional clothing designed to adapt to different workplace standards. Clothing that could not be used as a weapon against someone's career. We worked quietly, building prototypes, testing designs, refining every detail. Eventually, we created something unique, elegant, functional, and flexible. 6 months later, it was ready. I called a company-wide meeting and unveiled the project. I explained the concept, the vision, and the purpose behind it. Then I showed them the designs. Finally, I told them the story. Not directly, not with names, but everyone in that room understood exactly what I was referring to. The silence was heavy. The next day we launched. The response was overwhelming. Orders poured in, media coverage exploded, and the story behind the brand resonated with people in a way I had not expected. What started as a moment of humiliation had turned into something much bigger, something meaningful. A few weeks later, I stood in my office, looking at the numbers, the growth, the impact we were making. Richard walked in, shaking his head in disbelief at what this had become. He said it was bigger than anything they had imagined. I just smiled, because I already knew. The day they fired me, they thought they were enforcing a rule. What they actually did was hand me the opportunity to build something they could never control. And this time, no one would ever get to decide my worth based on 3 inches of fabric.